Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Nancy and we are going to be playing with another new Blue Night Rubber Stamps stamp. This one is called Sea Life. It is a red rubber stamp made here in the United States, and you get this large turtle, you get this coral seascape, and you get this little seahorse. So I've already made one sample with you, and this was really easy to do. I took some watercolor paper and I had some Distress ink sprays that were left over from another project, and they were on my desk, and I had sopped them up with this extra piece of watercolor paper. This is the smooth side, and I just had this panel on my desk, and I was like, what am I going to use it for? And then I realized I had these new sea stamps. So then I colored everything in with color pencils. But I thought, I don't think I've made an ocean scene with pan pastels yet, so let's try it. All right, so as always, the stamps come packaged nicely. You have these nice hard backer board. The rubber stamps are cling mounted. Rubber is high quality red rubber, and it's very easy to store these stamps. So I have a piece of Neenah Solar White cut down to 5 1/4 by 4. This is the Classic Crest, super smooth. I'm going to bring in the Day and Night palette. You can pick this up from Blue Night Rubber Stamps as well. You're going to get these 7 colors and a white with that palette. You get the palette, storage tray, the lid. You get some soft tools to play with. I do recommend also trying to, if they have in stock, picking up the colorless blender. That helps out when you're blending. But all I'm going to do is just put down some different colors of blue here and see if I can get a little bit of an ocean scene. So I'm going to actually start with a little bit of the dark green, which is called Chromium Oxide Green. I'm going to put that down at the bottom. It's kind of like the base of my ocean. And I have a paper towel off to the side, and all I do is just any of that excess color, look how much color that picks up on the sponge. This is how you clean it. You don't need to use any soap and water and clean these sponges. You just clean off that excess and you can go right back in with the next color. All right, so I'm going to start with some turquoise. And I'm going to go in there and just randomly spread this color around. Start light at first. I'm going to use some lighter turquoise, which is called Turquoise Tint. Tint means that they've lightened it by adding some white to it. Just going to add a little bit of that in there. Okay, go back into the regular turquoise and add some more of it back in here. Again, just real random. All right, and now I'm going to try to go in and grab some of the darker colors. So we have phthalo blue, and we have ultramarine blue. So I'm going to go with ultramarine blue, which is almost like a purpley blue. It's very pretty in color. And again, just kind of tap that in. Maybe do a little bit of a kind of a wavy action here, just using the end of my sponge. That's the ultramarine blue, and then I'm going to go in and add some of the phthalo blue, which is a much darker blue. Same thing, just kind of adding that in random spots. Ooh, I like the way this is coming out. I don't want to change too much of this. All right, and then if you wanted to go in and smooth everything out, you certainly could. I really like the way this is looking. I really don't want to mess with it too much. I'm going to leave it alone. I am going to add a little bit more green to the ground, just so our plants have something to land on. Again, just kind of sponging that on there. Little hills and valleys. That's all I need for the background. That was so simple, you guys. All right. Now I'm going to bring in my Tim Holtz stamping platform. This is what I use when I am stamping with red rubber stamps. And I have a little piece of sticky grid on there, and I'm going to pretty much put that right on the sticky grid. Tap that down. And I am going to place down pretty much everything at once. So I'm going to put my little coral ground sea life on the bottom there. I'm going to put our turtle dude here. What was the name of that turtle from Finding Nemo? I can't remember. Crush, right? His name was Crush. So I'm going to put big turtle, turtle Crush there. Close this. Make sure you have your lid saying rubber side up so that you know you're putting it on the right area. And then we're going to stamp with our Catherine Pooler Midnight ink. So we're going to ink that up. I'm using my handy dandy magnetic Blue Night Rubber Stamps handle. This is a magnetic plate. This is a handle with 2 heavy-duty magnets in there. And this is the universal size. And the universal size fits perfectly inside these small oval ink pads. And what you do is when you pull your lid off, you can hold on to this. So you don't have to worry about getting your inky fingers into the side of the ink panel or the ink pad. But also it helps to prevent from dropping the ink pad. Now I just re-ink this, so it might be quite juicy. We'll see how I'm being very light, very gentle love taps with this ink. This ink goes on super black, super dark, great for red rubber stamps. I don't use it on clear stamps because it does stain, but it's an archival ink and it's going to work well if we want to do any kind of coloring on here. And I think I'm going to stick with color pencils. So I'm just kind of wiping off some of that excess ink off of there. And then I do have a nice little handle that my friend Ryan sent me. I believe he purchased it off of Etsy. It's basically a Yankee Candle lid. It's got a little bit of weight to it, but it has a little felt bottom, which makes it super easy to press down on these red rubber stamps. Look at that. That looks amazing. I don't see any spot that's not stamped. I'm going to take my lid off and just move it over to the side. And I'm going to grab my color pencils and we're going to start coloring. I'm using my handy dandy Arteza color pencils. Use what you have. I just really like these pencils. They're variety of colors. They're inexpensive in price. They're super smooth. So yeah, I always gravitate towards these. And this is going to be really easy to color. So let's just jump right into it. Oh, I am going to set the heat tool to it real quick. Okay, so we're going to start with this, and then, is this an anemone? Isn't that what Nemo said? And I live in an anemone. We're going to color that with a nice coral, or salmon pink it's called. I don't think I'm going to need the Gamsol on here. The color pencil will just glide right on to, right over the pan pastels, so I don't need to worry about them being too dark. If they are too dark, you can just take an eraser and lift any of that color up. This is called Camel Brown. And I don't do a lot of coloring. I always say that in these videos. So simple, easy to color designs like this makes it very easy for me. And you can go in and add as much detail, highlights, shadows as you want. I don't do a lot of that, so you'll have to sit and watch me go through that. This is pumpkin orange. I have no idea if these are the right colors for corals or not. I'm just kind of grabbing some bright colors here. And you can see how easily the color pencils layer right on top of the pan pastel. Let me bring you guys down a little closer. There we go. Where if this were like a watercolor background or a painted background, it might be harder to get these colors to show up. So this is really easy with the pan pastel background. I think that's why I like the pan pastels so much, because they're super easy to use. And it looks like I spent a lot of time making that background, but you guys saw just a couple swipes of a couple different colors. Parakeet green. Let me see. Yeah, it's not bad. It's like a bluish green. Now, if you are using chalk pencils, I would probably restamp this. I don't think I'm going to need to, because these pencils are blending in and still translucent enough that the ink shows up. If you're using chalk pencils, they may cover some of that area, and you may need to restamp it. I think we're going to be fine here. All right, let's see, what color should our turtle be? We have lime green. That might be a little too light. Yeah, that might be a little too bright. We'll put that as our first layer, and then we'll go in and darken it up a little bit. May have overstamped this little fin here, but that's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. He's a little light. Let's go with a little bit darker color. Moss green. That's a little better. Yeah, we'll layer that right on top. You can see I'm not doing any fancy coloring tricks or anything here. I like things to be easy, simple, fast. Anyone can do this. I am not layering, like doing any kind of fancy highlights or shadows or any of that. Just layering the color, coloring it in, just like you learn to do when you're in elementary school. Just stay in the lines. That's all I'm doing. And I'm going to grab a little bit darker green for his shell. Let me see if I have one that's like, oops, almost like an army green. Coyote brown. Let me see here. Yeah, that's a little bit brown. We're going to put that underneath. I think I'm going to go back in with some green on top of this. I mean, that doesn't look hateful. I wanted a greenish brown for his shell, just so it stands out different from his body. Okay. Go back in and find the greens again. That actually doesn't look too bad. Olive green. Let's try that. Perfect. That's what I needed. Someday when I go visit my friend Michelle in Australia, hopefully I'll be able to see some wild sea turtles. I've seen them, of course, at aquariums and zoos and things like that, but it would be nice to see some in the wild, their natural habitat, without being tainted by humans. Okay, look at how beautiful that looks. Oh, stunning. All right, so then, of course, if you wanted to, you can go back in and layer your colors and add more depth with different layers. I don't generally do that kind of coloring, so I don't spend too much time on it. It's personal preference. Definitely there's an appreciation for the patience that people have to do that. I'm just not one of those people. And that's pretty much it. Now all I have to do is put a sentiment on there if I want a sentiment. Now if I felt like my coloring was being overtaken by the stamped image was being overtaken by the color, I would go and put my lid back on and stamp over it. But I think that looks pretty good. I really don't want to add any more ink onto this area here. I think I've already overstamped that. But look how easy that underwater background came out with using the pan pastels versus using my Distress Oxide sprays. They both look great. It's just two different ways of doing it. We got to add this little guy. Where did he go? Oh, here we go. I'll just use a stamping block to stamp it. Actually, no. I don't want to take the chance because you know what happens. If you don't use your stamp platform and then you go to stamp something else on there, that's the stamp that you're going to mess up, right? So, Murphy's Law. We're going to do what's right. Clean off our stamps here. Stick them back on our backer sheet because it's really easy to do. This is how easy it is to clean up. We're going to place our little buddy, our little seahorse buddy. I like to put him down here in the grass just so he's kind of like hanging out. Stamp him with that same ink very gently. Ink him, not stamp him. Ink him. Now we stamp him. All right, perfect. Look how his tail's like wrapped around the coral there. We're going to take the heat tool and dry him off real quick. All right, and then we're going to add some color. I think we'll make him purple. I mean, I know seahorses come in all different colors, but I just feel like he would look great in purple, so... This is called Oob Purple. I think that's how you say it. Oob Purple. That's perfect. It really looks like his tail is wrapped around the coral. Okay, I'm done with this. Now what I'm going to do is I'll take it over and I will spray it with a fixative, which again is the Krylon Clear Spray. Once the fixative is dry, I will take some of this Nuvo Crystal Glaze and I will put little dots on it almost to make it look like bubbles, but I don't want to do that until after it's sprayed and the fixative is dry, and then you want to set it aside and let that dry overnight, and then that will be my finished card. So of course I'm going to ask you guys to vote and tell me which one you like better. Do you like the Pan Pastel one or do you like the Distress Oxide one? I was really liking the Distress Oxide ones, but I like the cleanness of the Pan Pastel one, but you guys will have to comment down below. Let me know which one you like better, Distress Inks or Pan Pastel background. If you have any questions, post them down below. I will link everything I used for you. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like it, and if you're not a subscriber, please click the little button in the bottom right-hand corner and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and keep on stamping. Bye-bye.